So the one way that we can work with our ability to draw resources to ourselves, to affect life, to have an impact or to take care of ourselves, is to work with power in a way that Marshall calls power over. So this is a domination system. And essentially, you get to do what you want. You get to use the power that you have to do what you want, despite resistance. So I can tell my child, off you go to bed. I said so. I'm in the power seat. She can wail, she can cry, and I can say, sorry, that's just the way it is. This kind of use of power requires obedience. You have to comply. And it's based on a type of thinking that is either or. So, and at its core, it's a split from the self. Because what it tends to do... So, yeah, okay, there we go. It tends to split us off from ourselves and habitually disconnect us from our needs. So if my child's not feeling sleepy, but I say, off you go to bed, then she has a choice. Either she submits or rebels. She becomes obedient. And either way, she's going to disconnect from herself. So this type of power tends to habituate us to not care for ourselves. And it's rooted in our unawareness of our interconnection. So yeah, we tend to submit or rebel. So how do you guys feel if you just think about it now? When someone dominates you, they push you and they don't give you choice, what feelings come up for you?
Could I say something, Jacqueline?
Yes, please.
With what you're talking about, what happens to me is my heart shuts down. And then I find it really difficult to keep my heart open. And then I've developed certain techniques to keep myself head above water kind of thing, where I'd go train or meditate or something. But yeah, that's one of the main things is that I've studied it, and it tries to shut my heart down. Tries to close my heart so that I'm cut off from love or myself. And yeah, so that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah. So when someone pushes you and they don't give you a choice, there's a part of you that turns away and shuts down. A kind of hopelessness and a disconnection. Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what this type of power does. It's born out of a kind of thinking that doesn't acknowledge our interbeingness, doesn't acknowledge our inherent connection, and doesn't honor that connection. And so, yeah, you're either going to submit or turn away. It's true. I didn't put also disconnect, shut down, or rebel, fight for what you want. Anyone else want to share? Yeah, so I'll move on. So at the core of this type of thinking is this concept of there's no choice. So we don't give the person choice. And that lack of choice in domination thinking, it comes towards us, or we internalize a lack of choice. So I think we've got the largest number of living slaves on the planet ever. And a lot of them, I don't know actually the full facts, but some of them, they don't have a concept of their own freedom that they can walk away. This is like a colonization of the mind to take away a person's sense of choice. And how it translates into our language is I should. That's the subtlest level. Oh, I really should go to my mom. I should show up for that. Oh, I should make my bed in the morning. Then it gets it crouches and it gets a little bit stronger. I have to. You have to. You have to celebrate anniversaries. You have to write exams. And then as it gets entrenched and it gets a bit harder and a bit more dense and intense, it comes to a kind of do it or else kind of thinking. And this is where reward and punishment begin to take form. And these structures, this kind of use of power, the submit or rebel, the ones that have power get to say what happens, and they get to decide who to reward and who to punish. We start to set up systems around this. So our school system, we recently switched from a Waldorf system to a government system for my daughter, and the amount of times, I'd never experienced this in a school system before, but the amount of times that they said, you have to come to school and we need this because the authorities higher up tell us you have to have so many days. So this inherent, just silent messaging that you don't have choice about how many days you come to school. You don't have choice about whether you vaccinate your child. And everyone just slowly starts to comply. And it builds, we've already spoken about this, it tends to build power structures and hierarchies. Obedient people can rise in a hierarchy. And if you don't conform, you don't submit, then you can start to use more and more coercive tactics to get what you want. Fear and shame. You can shame people into doing what we want. And fear. Do it or else, I take this away. And people start to do things either because they're afraid and they want to conform to stay belonging, to keep their job, to keep the relationship, to not invoke someone's anger, and the silence. The people don't want to speak out because they're afraid of what will happen if they do, because this conformity starts to take place inside this type of power structure. Okay, I just want to pause there and just see if there's anyone would like to say something. Any questions, any thoughts?
Maybe I'll add something, Jacqueline.
Yes, I'd love that. Hi, Seferino.
One very helpful characteristic of power over, particularly to identify it within oneself, because often the thinking is others, is doing power over. But it is actually something that is alive in all of us, given the system and the power structures and the conditioning that we're all born with. And one useful identifier which I use to really identify, just the consciousness with which I'm operating within the relationship. And essentially power over comes down to you believing your needs are more important, or you deserve to have your needs met first. As soon as you notice that type of interplay within yourself, you are essentially operating from a power over consciousness. And that's usually a very easy way to identify it and to just cultivate that awareness.
Yes, wow. I love it. Thank you. Do you have anything to add, Sam?
Yeah, I invite some reactions from others.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's going on inside of you when you listen to about power over?
Yeah, I'll share a little bit. Yeah, it's interesting because when we speak about this topic, especially power over, it's like I have this little justice warrior in me that starts getting activated. It's it really triggers this part of me that like it's almost like this desire to rebalance the system. And it's like I think you mentioned as well, it's like that reaction of like the rebel, of needing to almost like bite back to assert maybe it's like a dominance thing as well. In the environment. And it's interesting to feel that be activated and then to be able to breathe with that and then to come into a space of, yeah, it's like how to maneuver in that space when you can feel what's happening. And it's been interesting for me to feel this position of power over, especially when especially for me, it's in the spiritual communities because it can get so hidden when this is happening and the words are beautiful and the people are beautiful and it's all very nice and calm, but there's still this power dynamic that's being played out. And sometimes you can hear it in the languaging or the positioning. And yeah, it's been something that I've been observing, and it's nice to be able to see it in
And
this
how
way.
do you notice that it's playing out? Like, what will you notice happening inside of you?
The first thing that I notice is I'm starting that triggering is coming. There's like part of me that's like, hey, what are you doing? And then I have to almost take a step back to be like, wait, what's being triggered? And then when I observe that, then I'm like, oh, I see what's actually happening. And there's a little alarm system going off inside me to say that I'm being pushed in a way that's not feeling good to me right now. And then it's like the invitation is then to come into a space of finding balance in a new way, or expressing myself in a different way, or finding the needs that I have that are currently not being addressed through a power dynamic that's playing out. So, but my alarm system internally, and when I'm in this position, especially the side where I feel like someone's coming as power over me, is that little rebel that awakens. And that it's like now I can almost be thankful for the alarm system that I have and not necessarily just let it out, but be like, okay, wait, I'm seeing what's happening here because this is what's being activated.
Yeah. And I'm celebrating your connection because one of the products of that type of power system is a complete disconnection to your own needs. So if you do have, at first, if you've got a little part that wants to fight and it gets shut down enough, that part will shut down too. So yeah, celebrating that. And so one thing that you said when someone's trying to push me in a direction. So I'm imagining that when you have a sense that someone isn't listening to you and checking for choice, checking how is it for you, something like that. Yeah, okay. All right, let's move on to power with. So this is the type of power use that nonviolent communication would like to work with, encourages us to work with. So it's a power with is power sharing and collaboration. So instead of either or, either you get your needs met or I get my needs met. Either you brush your teeth or you don't get pudding or whatever. It's a both and. So power with inherently recognizes the natural interconnection that we are in interbeing with each other, that my well-being is intimately bound with yours. And it recognizes that everything a person does is trying to meet a beautiful universal human need. So it could be connection. I'm just going to name a few for those of you that don't know anything about universal human needs. It could be trying to meet need for safety, trying to meet a need for intimacy, reassurance. There's a long list. So it's recognizing that our actions are driven out of these universal human needs, and how do we care for them? So it cares to seek for a balance of needs. So as Seferino was saying, when you have power, you don't have to consider the needs of others. It's a very natural thing. Well, I wouldn't say actually they would, in nonviolent communication, they would make a distinction between natural and
habitual.
Yeah, habitual and natural. Sorry, I just saw something that that I wanted to tell you about power over and silencing, but we can do that. We can do that just now. So habitual, it's become habitual because we've kind of been educated in it to have that grab when we have the power to use it. Yeah, I said, because I said so. What's actually more natural to us is the indigenous cultures do this so beautifully. They have this natural understanding of that if we don't have a balance of needs, then things go out of balance. If we're not, so in nonviolent communication is this beautiful shifting of power, shifting of the attention, shifting of the power to where it needs to go. Yeah. So tonight, for example, my daughters, they were supposed to be at me this evening, and I didn't want them here. And my daughter was really upset with this because, I'm just going to stop the share just quickly. My daughter was really upset with this because she loves consistency. So she wanted the consistency. And that was a moment for me to, well, but that's just the way it is. But that's not a very power sharing way. So we had to take this time to connect to myself and be like, okay, why do I want this? What needs am I trying to meet? She was having a full-on meltdown. I mean, she was like angry with me. So she was trying to assert her power. And there was this moment where I had this choice, like either I choose my needs or her needs, and I do this. And there was this moment when I had to choose, okay, well, whose needs am I going to care for now? Fully acknowledging her needs. Does that make sense to you? Am I explaining that? This shifting, it's not that we always are kind of like, sometimes we do need to prioritize someone's needs over another, but we shift it depending on how we can uplift life. Yeah? So domination systems work on rules. This is how we do it. But when we share power, it's a very dynamic process because it's in the moment. What's alive now? How do we care for the most needs now? I want to get you guys in breakout rooms. So nonviolent communication, the thinking behind it, it's based on this core thinking of natural giving. It requires us to trust other human beings. That actually, when needs are met, we naturally give. That if we place our needs before the other in vulnerability, like Seferino, you were speaking about, like when I want to assert and I think my needs are more important. It's a very big step to willingly enter into vulnerability and risk an outcome, risk uncertainty. Like I'm not going to make this demand for what I want, and I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I'm willing to share this power. So this beautiful thing of the peace is when those with power are just and the vulnerable are safe. We take care of each other. So power sharing means we have to be open to the influence of others. Trying to think, I recently had, oh yeah, there was a whole, I wrote an article on Facebook about, yeah, doesn't even matter what it was about. And I got a lot of pushback. And it's very habitual to defend for ourselves. It's not so easy for us to actually be open to the other and to be influenced by the other. Sorry, I'm going, yeah, okay. So power sharing is how to attend to as many universal human needs as possible. So how do we gather as many universal human needs as possible and care for them? So the languaging around power sharing is, are you willing to? Can you live with? And is there any resistance to? Now, if you remember with the domination one, it starts off with, I should. And then as the demand and the domination thinking takes form, it goes to you have to, and then do it or else, and increasingly into more and more violence. The languaging of power sharing, if you feel trust, so Flip, you were talking about who am I speaking to? So if you feel trust that the person that you are talking to, they feel quite comfortable to say no. Because essentially, power is a lot about no. The word no. Who gets to say no? Who can say no? If you're a CEO, the higher you are up in a power hierarchy, the less you hear the word no. And the lower down you are in a power hierarchy, the less likely you are to say no. So throwing chalk dust onto the power structures, we need to become aware of who are we talking to? How likely are they going to be to say no? So if we really want to collaborate and share power, we always bring it forward in a choice. And the languaging, the gentler one, I'll just bring it back up for you. If you really trust that person, they've got a lot of authority, they've got a lot of power, they're going to be honest with you. Are you willing? Hey, are you willing to lend me this money? Are you willing to do that report for me? Okay, you want to lower the resistance. You want to make sure that they actually are okay with it. Can you live with? How would it be for you if? And if you want to check if there's any hint in them that doesn't want to and that they might lie to you, and you can say, is there any resistance? All right.
Can I say something on the needs?
Yeah.
I'm struggling with the definition you gave as
Okay.
it's like safety, assurance I wrote down, Timothy. I completely,
Okay.
but the examples we are speaking about, I don't really link this to needs, to human needs, rather than to preferences. You had the example, a child doesn't want to sleep or doesn't want to eat or want to eat chocolate, which it should not eat. Like, or in a company, when somebody says, oh, can you get me this report? And his or her job is to do reports. Well, I say it in a nice way, but if he doesn't feel it, well, he doesn't like it, sure. But where I struggle to understand where is a need comes in. For me, there's a difference between a need, a human need, and the examples are 100% correct. But what I said, like safety, reassurance, but like how do we make like the border to some, oh, I don't like this. It's just like an emotional feeling. Oh, no, I really don't feel like that I want to go to sleep now. But if I'm a child, 5 years old, probably I don't know any better.
Yeah. Yeah. And so as the boss with the report and as the parent, I want to be as aware of universal human needs as possible and aware of why I'm choosing. So I might choose power over in that moment. I might choose it, but I will choose it with the intention to uplift the whole. It's not about caring for my needs. I choose it to serve life. So I will try my best to connect to, like let's take the instance of the child. She doesn't want to, that happens many times. Sometimes I give my child that autonomy. Yeah, okay, you choose. It's not a school night, whatever. Sometimes I just don't feel like the hassle of holding the structure. So in that moment, I'm meeting my need of ease and flexibility. She's meeting her need of freedom and spontaneity. There are other nights when I'm very clear. No, there's reasons, and she doesn't want to collaborate and cooperate. But I'm very clear, like, I'm not trusting that allowing her that freedom will serve her or myself. And so this is a line that everyone has to make for themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that, Sam?
Yeah, thank you for the invitation, Jacqueline. So, Boris, there are two needs in question through the examples that Jacqueline gave. There is the need of the child, and then there is Jackie's need. There is the need of the boss, and then there is the need of this staff. And for example, if I see a need for safety and the other person sees a need for consideration, being aware of these needs, acknowledging that, making a choice, an informed choice, that this is the need that I am serving, or this is the need that I'm inviting and giving space to, is what's really important. And while we do that, if there is a chance to really consider both needs and make a decision that would enable serving both needs, one after the other or at the same time, that's the invitation.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Sam. So I'm going to give an example of a type. I'm going to give you two examples. So there's been a study in the US of hospitals where there's a strong hierarchy. So freedom of choice, freedom to participate in the dynamic is not given. Okay, it's strict rules, very domination style use of power. What happens is the nurses don't speak. Because if you don't have power, you shut down, you don't participate. And what happens is actually this becomes less safe for the patients because the nurses see things and they don't speak. So this domination style I mean, at the end of this, we're going to look at domination as in its extreme forms, but it's unsafe. It doesn't, because each one of us have a unique contribution to make. We all come with an intelligence. So if we don't give access to these voices, that's why I had that, I didn't show it, but if you want to empower people, listen to them and they will open themselves up to collaborate. The more we listen to someone, the more they will want to, they open to collaboration. There's another type of in a collaborative use of power. So just one example is for public spending. It's called, where is it now? Participatory budgeting. So it's in Brazil. It's quite a few countries, but where constituents in the area, they get to participate in how a portion of the budget is spent, and they get to speak. And they get the sense of empowerment and they get to make choices about how the money is spent. And as they make choices that impact their life, they feel a sense of belonging. And they begin, so one woman who was able to kind of impact how that money was spent, and there was sewerage in the ground, and then she went to the meeting, and it was very scary for her. It's very scary to speak out upper power structure. But she did, and she received support, and then they used that portion to pave the streets. The kids started getting healthier, and her words were, before we waited for people in power to remember us, now we remember ourselves. All right, so I want to just I've been speaking so long, and I want to speak just a little bit longer, and then we'll put you in breakout rooms. So, because I just want to get to this piece around, yeah. So if you want to empower someone, increase their choice and listen to them. All right. So the shift from a domination culture to a collaboration culture, this is the beginning of developing freedom. And so this beginning to connect to our needs, developing a power within, is the beginning of inner freedom. And then powering up that process of becoming aware of your needs and speaking them out, it's the beginning of a collective freedom. Yeah? So it starts with self-awareness. Okay? And once we become aware of our thought processes, what's driving us, what needs we actually want to meet, we become more autonomous. And we're not so at the mercy of external forces and our own impulses, our reactivity and our unconscious, just our projections. Yeah? So as Jung says, until we make the unconscious conscious, it directs our life, and we call it fate. So this journey of empowerment towards a collaborative culture is actually a journey of accessing our own inner authority and our own autonomy, becoming aware of what's happening inside of us. That's how the domination system takes us away from our inner authority. It makes people conform regardless of whether they feel it's right or not. So this beginning of freedom is to be able to act upon our own moral authority. All right. So as Steiner says, man is free insofar as he is able to obey himself in every moment. Man is free so far as he is able to obey himself in every moment. So freedom it's not bestowed, it's self-generated. So it's this unlearning of a domination, the have-tos, the doing things to avoid shame and punishment, and beginning to do something because we believe it. We care for our needs. And in this way, we begin to retrieve our projections as well. So one of the most important things we can do is listen to ourselves and to other. And nonviolent communication makes a very clear distinction about listening. We don't listen to argue. We don't listen to win a debate. I'm watching what's going on in the world now. I just see people trying to win debates. No, we listen for what the universal human needs are. What is driving the other? What's moving them? Okay. Now, we've got 20 minutes left, okay? And this is the piece I was most nervous to do, but I'm actually going to do it. So, because this is why I wanted to share about power. I'm aware that I'm not particularly eloquent in sharing about power, but okay. So Jung says, when we become aware of our inner constraints, we gain more access to freedom, okay? But there's a paradox here, because as we gain more access to freedom, we then need to take on responsibility for life. So this is Mandela. What did Madiba say? With great freedom comes great responsibility. Okay, so I'm going to show you some images now of where domination thinking is taking us. Okay, if you do not wish to see.
Just one question. There's a huge noise in the line in the background. Is it just me or is it somewhere with you?
It's with me.
Massive, it's really noisy.
Yeah. So do you know what that sound is? It's the sound of the drones that some countries are flying over other countries right now. Because one of the greatest forms that domination, use of power is manifesting on our planet is through the military, the obedience of the military. So teaching obedience. So this noise is what some people are living with. It's forced over them. They have no choice. Some of these drones have got like targeted. They got targets on them. They shoot. I'm going to show you a film now, okay, of what domination thinking looks like on our planet right now.
Another Venezuelan man who was illegally sent to El Salvador's maximum security mega prison in March. Trump officials removed 20.
Okay. So I actually didn't show you the one image. I decided not to. So I'm going to put you in breakout rooms now. And
oh, sorry.
Yeah?
I don't know, maybe there was, I didn't see any pictures, no videos, nothing. I just
You
thought
didn't see anything?
No, nothing. I thought like it was still like you were looking for it, but there was
Oh,
nothing.
really?
Not
Did
for
you not
me.
see anything?
Maybe it's my computer,
I
but no.
did. I saw it. I saw the
I saw
images.
it.
Okay, then it's probably
saw
not my side. Sorry.
Okay. Well, Boris, I'm not quite sure what to do, but maybe I should.
No worries. Just continue. No worries.
Okay.
I think no. It's like the El Salvador prison. As they got them in prison. Is that what you showed?
I did
Yeah.
show, that was one of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
images.
I know these things. I know. I have seen the videos. Yeah.
All right.
Venezuela, I think.
Huh?
Was it Venezuela? I can't remember, one of the South American countries. In the beginning, they were-
Yeah, and there were some South African prisons.
yeah, that
There
was
were
two.
some children, soldiers in Africa.
Right.
Yeah. So what I would like to do with this time now is to put you in breakout rooms and just for you to share how you feel, what comes up for you when you see those images in relation to power. What comes up for you? Just to share. So you've got 10 minutes in the room. Yeah, is that clear?
Sure.
All right, thank you. So I'll send you and I'll bring you back in 10 minutes. So Boris, would you like to show it either the Erasmus?
Yeah, I don't see Boris in this room.
Oh God, it's very. Move 2 and 5. Okay, Richard and join.
So we've got Kate and Cassie still in the main room. I'm not sure if they're not online or we haven't assigned them yet.
I think I've assigned, but I think they don't want to join.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Kate and Cassie, is that true?
I'm here. I just
Would
don't
you-
see the option to join.
Okay,
Yeah, she
there
looks
you are.
assigned.
Okay, assigned to and Kate, I think doesn't want to join.
Oh no, she's joined. She went to her room.
Okay, where is she?
I think maybe she went off.
I did
Okay.
manage to join just now, but now I'm not seeing there was like a thing that popped up. Oh, there we go. Okay, I got it.
Okay. Okay, Boris, would you like me to play the video again?
I think I know it, but I just came back because there was nobody other in the room. I was the only one. I thought I
Okay.
saw it again.
All right. Well, Samuel is in a room. Would you like to join him?
Well, why not?
Yeah, exactly. James entered the waiting room. Okay. Did you get the invite? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think you'll have to just assign James to them. He's busy joining. I think he probably just lost connection because he's been here for the whole thing.
Okay. Oh dear. Maybe I'm right. I haven't even done time.
Can I assign James to a room? James, are you there?
Hey, I'm here, Mishka. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can we assign him to room 7, Jackie?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right, there we go. Oh.
Okay, we can. Mish, we don't need to record. It's just going to be closing.